I wanted to get into kind of like co-parenting, because I know that for my listeners, that's a very beneficial conversation, because a
Yeah.
lot of people struggle through that. And the reason I wanted to talk to you is because your son's older now.
Yeah.
So like you've been through, I'm assuming, of course, I don't know, but I'm assuming that you've been through that roller coaster ride
I will say
of
co-parenting
co-parenting.
is an ongoing roller coaster.
Okay.
Like, and
Okay.
this is always fragile for me because with my podcast, I'm super. To me, it's about transparency because
Yeah.
somebody can listen to what you say and learn from it.
Yeah.
So there's been things that I have said that my son's father was not okay with, but for
Okay.
me, it's like I'm speaking the truth here. Like,
Right.
there's things to take from this. Somebody's gonna learn from this, but it's an ongoing, honestly, a roller coaster. Like sometimes we're good, other times we're not good.
Okay.
But I've learned to communicate from just an adult standpoint rather than speaking for my child. Because
Right.
for a while I got so stuck on my son deserves better than this. My son's like, so it's like I'm speaking for him, and whole time he might not care that he doesn't see his dad that much. But to
Okay.
me, I feel like my son deserves it all. You need
Right.
to be seeing your son at least once a month because his dad doesn't live in the same city.
Oh,
So to
okay.
me, I feel like 2 hours is not enough to hardly ever see your kid. To me, there's no excuse for that. But I got
Right.
so stuck into speaking from my son, not realizing, let me just speak it as an adult. Life does happen, things do happen. Let's learn to communicate with each other for something that makes sense rather than what I think my son might want or what I think that he might deserve.
Right.
But I will say I feel like there's no recipe to
To co-parenting.
to go. It's crazy to say. I used to feel like there is, but
There truly
no, we
isn't.
could really be good one week and not good the next.
Okay. Okay. So kind of like walk me through that whole co-parenting journey. So like from the beginning up until now that he's older, because now that he's older, he can kind of speak his own thoughts and
Yes.
like his feelings. But when he was younger,
So
like how did
from the
y'all adapt to that?
beginning, we were in a relationship, which of course like blurs the line of like co-parenting and
Right.
stuff like that. But from us, it was like, well, when he moved out, that was when the co-parenting kind of started because now how much are you going to see your son? We were still in a relationship, actually for like three years after that. Even though he
okay.
moved out, we were still in a relationship. So now we're a long distance relationship, long distance co-parenting. And it's like, if me and you aren't cool, that doesn't mean you can't come around and be cool with your son.
Right.
And it took a while for us to work through those waters because it would always blur the lines. It was always like, well, when you're coming to see your son, you're staying at my house. And now that's kind of gray in the area because your son thinks that he's seeing his family back together when it's not that. Like,
Right.
I'm dating other people, you're dating other people, which made it complicated for me for the men I was dating, because then it's like you're having your son's father stay at your house, like, but for me, I'm like, he doesn't live in this city. So for me, it's like I'm not gonna ask him to get a hotel. Like, my son's not about to go hang out in a hotel for a weekend. But it's so hard to explain to people when you're trying to move forward. It just no matter how you say it, it still seems like you called up on your ex.
Right,
Like,
right.
and all I'm trying to do was co-parent. Like,
Right.
why should my son have to be uncomfortable for a weekend to spend time with his father? So it's still, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
no, you're
it's
still
a lot
figuring it out.
better now
Yeah.
than it was because I had to learn. Like, sometimes it's not about convenience. It is what it is. You can't stay at my house. Like,
Okay.
he has to be able to see his father and his mother, two separate entities. Like,
Right.
not always together. But I
Okay.
used to think, because that's how my parents were, even though they weren't together. My parents split when I was 8. But I've always seen them function so well and blend so well. Even though my dad was married, it still was never like me and my mom and then me, my dad, and my stepmom. It was like we one big, my dad used to still tell my mom he loved me in front of his wife. Like, loved my mom, loved me. It was like we were one big happy family. And that's what I wanted. And I realized in traditional, that doesn't exist anymore. You can't go telling your ex, oh, I love you. Like, it doesn't work
Right.
like that no more.
I also think it depends on the partner
Yeah.
and the mature, because also a lot of your experiences, you were young, right?
Yes.
Because you had him at 18. So I'm assuming most of these experiences were like your early 20s, right?
Yes.
So at that point, even the people you were dating didn't have the maturity, or they didn't have the experience with kids. And we'll get into, your dating status now. But I'm sure because he's older,
Yeah.
he can better understand, what you're trying to create for your son, right?
Yes.
So I think it's very important on like the partner and who that is. But I love that your parents gave you that example of still having a family unit without trying to force their relationship to work. Like they were able to separate their personal relationship and still provide you with a family.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of like families that are broken apart or mixed up, it's like there's so much beef between the mom and the dad that they can't put their differences aside long enough just to let their child have the experience with both of them. Because of course your son enjoys being with you. It looks like your son I really think you are his best friend. Like,
I think so too. But he's at that age now where it's not so cool to love on your mom.
Right.
So it's like a calm, but it's like, I know I'm your favorite person in the world.
Yeah. No, I'm speaking on like when you like post like screenshots of like y'all texting conversations. I'm like, oh, he really talks to her like that's his best friend. I love that.
Yes. But then when the attitude comes, because the preteen, I have to ask him, who do you think you're talking to? Because it's like very like, it's cool when we cool, but when you ain't kind of not cool with me, don't talk to me like I'm your little friend. Because like it comes off like that, like I'm not gonna do this or whatever. And it's like, who do you think you talking to? Like, like
right. But yeah, then I'm sure, he loves his time with his dad as well when he gets to see his dad. But I think every child wants to feel like they were created out of love.
Yeah.
And I think it's shown when, I don't think it's necessary, but I love to see when like co-parents can come together for their child and let them have that family moment. But I don't, it's not necessarily necessary because in some circumstances it's just not going to work out. But I understand why that was so important to you, growing up in that environment. I didn't know that you and your dad and your mom were divorced.
Yeah, they never were married. They were engaged.
Oh, okay.
And my mom, it's crazy to say, but my dad cheated once.
Yeah,
I heard both sides of the story. My dad cheated once and my mom was out.
Okay.
So growing up, and it's like I used to have issues with my son's father, and she would be the spokesperson like, you guys will be better later when you guys get older. And I'm looking like the hypocrite because you left my daddy after one time. Like, that's just how I felt.
Wait, so is that what she told you or what he told you?
My dad confirmed it. Because like for a while, I used to not believe that this was true. No way you get cheated on one time and you pick up and, move me back into your parents' house. Like, you just said, forget the family. Like, y'all was engaged, everything. But my dad doubled down, said it was one time. He got caught.
He confirmed it.
He confirmed it. And I was like,